While Brian Flores admitted it's early, he did say his second-year QB has looked solid and applauded his technique and mechanics. Tua won't have Ryan Fitzpatrick splitting reps with him anymore this year, so there's a lot more pressure to see if he is indeed Miami's franchise quarterback. LeVar, do you expect Tua to take the next step at quarterback this season?
You know, I do. And listen, when you look at certain schools and you see certain position players come out of them, they don't have much success. You know, two schools that pop out at you that you wonder, can those guys at a certain position have the success, is Alabama and Ohio State. They have some really, really awesome quarterbacks in school when they come out, but they don't seem to pan out once they get to the pros. Tua is a more feasible positive conclusion of a prospect and of a player. I think that the coaching staff, the familiarity of that, having a full offseason to prepare, getting further away from the injury that has taken place, and having more familiarity with a playbook and more confidence in what he can bring to the table. You know, last year was a year of adversity for him. He had to fight through being benched. He had to fight through, you know, them teetering the line of, are they a good team or are they a bad team? He's a winner. He's a winner. He comes from good stock. He's got good guys. They're showing highlights here. I love Gesicki at the tight end's position. When you have a really, really good receiving tight end, someone who can do it in a multi-dimensional facet, I think that Gesicki is one of those type of guys that can transition into being in the same conversations as the top guys like Kittle and other guys out there. And then you look at them adding Waddle, someone that he's familiar with from the college level on that outside. They have a good running attack. It's a loaded team on top of that. This Miami team, talent-wise, Flores in the front office of Miami has done an excellent job of constructing a team that can win. I think this is the year that not only Tua takes a big step forward, I look for the Miami Dolphins to take a very definitive step forward and being a much more competitive team this year as well.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I think their defense is strong. We all know that. And then offensively, people aren't understanding what Tua had to go through. He was coming off that gruesome hip injury, all right, then didn't have much of an offseason or a preseason, and then he's battling with Ryan Fitzpatrick, whatever you want to call him, all right, and he had no receiving core either. And now you give him Will Fuller. You mentioned the tight end, Jalen Waddle, his boy from Alabama. I think he's going to be much more comfortable in the offense this year. And look, everybody is not going to be the quarterback to come in right away and work magic in the NFL. We've seen Kyler Murray come in and start right away, Justin Herbert, you know, Joe Burrow and others. But that's not going to be every single quarterback. Because a guy may not light up the league in his first year doesn't mean he can't play. Now, I'm not saying I think Tua is going to be an all-pro, but I do think he will take a jump this season. And you're right, I think Miami as a whole will take a jump. He's got a great coaching staff. I think they're going to have that team playing complementary football on both sides of the ball. And with the new receiving core and then all of the offseason training that he's had versus what the preparation he had last year, the lack thereof, I think he is going to take a step forward and have a very good season.
But, you know, I listen closely, guys. I
listen closely.
I hear a lot of excuse-making for Tua. And, you know, the fact of the matter is he was the worst first-round quarterback last year. Justin Herbert had to deal with the same truncated offseason. Oh, and guess what? He wasn't even starting. They started Tyrod Taylor. Justin Herbert tossed into the fire and put up historically great rookie numbers. Joe Burrow going to an awful franchise with a pretty terrible head coach and put up great numbers and looked like a stud. And then you have Tua, who basically vomited all over himself several times, had to get pulled for the Harvard kid Fitzpatrick. And guys, I know you're bullish on this offseason, but LeVar, they dumped their offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey, who's like 67 years old. And they bring in a couple new guys, and you start digging around, and you're like, wait a sec. These guys historically have done a lot of two tight end heavy sets. Do they not trust Tua? Are they going to be running the football a lot this year? It goes counter because, as Chris said, they added Will Fuller, and that's a smart move. You get a rookie quarterback on the rookie deal. You go and add a good receiver. Everybody does that. Kyler Murray got it. Josh Allen got it in Buffalo. And I like the Will Fuller thing, once he comes back from the suspension. The Jalen Waddle acquisition is nice. But I start to wonder, LeVar, you look at the history of Alabama quarterbacks. They're playing with superstar receivers. And then Tua gets to the league, and he's throwing Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. And, okay, guys, I know you got to gas up the Penn State tight end. That's fine. He was on my fantasy team. He's very good.
He's good.
I just have a lot more questions than answers with Miami. And I will put a button on it this way. Brian Flores now on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. They kind of lucked into a 10-6 year last year. They choke in the season finale against Buffalo's backups and miss the playoffs. I do think we'll see a little regression. They had some special teams luck. They had a lot of turnover luck. I believe they led the NFL in turnover margin. Everything just kind of felt lucky last year for them. I am going to go counter. I think the Dolphins missed the playoffs. Smells like 7-10 to me. And I'll close with this, LeVar.
Okay.
There's a reason Miami was doing more than kicking the tires on Deshaun Watson this offseason. There's a reason why when Deshaun Watson came down to Miami for whatever boxing match there was, the Dolphins brass was in the building. A lot of chatter about Deshaun Watson and Miami. I'm curious what happens if Tua stinks up the joint again this year.
What's interesting is how you measure success. Sure, Herbert got Rookie of the Year. Wonderful. Sure, Joe Burrow had a better career, a better season statistically. Wonderful. That's success. You can measure success that way. It's interesting. Joe Burrow, for his troubles, got part of a team that won 4 games last year, and a jacked up knee from that season. That's one. Justin Herbert, their team went 7-9, and he got a new head coach. Oh yeah, new coaching staff in LA for that Rookie of the Year performance that he put up. So both had successful campaigns. I'll let that sink in.
What are you saying?
I'll pause and let that
what are you trying to say?
We can sit here and try to say the personal success that one has is measurable by saying that he's better than the next guy that didn't have that. But Tua has over a 500 in wins total as a starter in Miami, coming off of what you call excuses. I call it just life. You had to overcome an injury. You had to overcome a pandemic. I mean, hello? Joe Burrow is going to have to overcome an injury. Are we going to use an excuse for him? All right, so the idea of it is when I think about where Tua is right now and the opportunity that he has, with the setup that he has, with the stability that he has, come on. If I'm picking Miami versus looking at what Joe Burrow has in Cincinnati or what's taking place here in L.A. with Justin Herbert, he's not familiar with this new coach. He's going to have to get familiar and see what he can do. Was this first year a lightning flash, lightning in a bottle year for Herbert? Does he cool off? Is he better? I don't know. He has players. This is a well-constructed team that the Chargers have as well. But can he do it again? Can Joe Burrow come off of this knee injury and be what he was before the knee injury and make this Bengals team a more relevant team? So to me, when I say and I state very clearly that Tua's success is based upon the success that I believe that the Miami Dolphins team is going to have as a whole, I truly mean that. Just because you're not a Pro Bowl player or an All-Pro doesn't mean you can't have a tremendous campaign as a starter. We've seen Tom Brady and various other quarterbacks have successful years, and even I believe they won a Super Bowl one year or more, or appearances where Tom Brady wasn't an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler. So with that being said, the idea of measuring a guy's success based off of if personally he's an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl guy, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think Tua will make this Miami Dolphins team a better team this year. I do think he takes a very big step, a larger step, in being considered a legit quarterback that starts and gives his team chances to win in every game. I think he takes a definitive step this year.
J-Mac, you have to understand the difference between an excuse and an explanation. All right? A hip injury is an explanation.
Yes.
It just is. All right? It's not an excuse. It's an explanation that a guy has to deal with.